Hello, everyone. Hey, Mr. Mugen here. Wanted to give you the details about how natural selection occurs. First off, this was Darwin's trip around the world. Notice the kinds of places that he got to go. They would have just been full of biodiversity. Not too many humans got to see this. There was no internet. Zoos were probably pretty much it if you were going to experience animals that weren't in your own neighborhood. Okay? And the books back in the day were mostly text, black and white pictures at best. Uh, to see this kind of traveling the world was just unheard of. And it allowed Darwin to come up with this idea of how selection occurs in the natural world. He noticed that three things were necessary for natural selection to occur. First of all, there must be variation within a species. Okay? Variation within a species, sometimes referred to as a phenotype. If you remember your Punnett square work, okay, Punnett square work would tell you that different phenotypes can come from the same parents. Okay, well, Darwin called those variations, and any species that reproduces sexually will have that same kind of variation, the kind of variation that we see very quickly in our own species and in our domesticated species. But any critter that reproduces sexually will have that same kind of variation. And here's the kicker: it's got to be something that's in the DNA, it has to be inheritable. Secondly, Darwin noticed that nature tends to overproduce. There's a cottonwood tree in my neighborhood that produces an inordinate number of cottonwood seeds. So many that sometimes they clutter the sidewalks, the gutters. There's just so many of them. But there are relatively few cottonwood trees in the neighborhood. So why does Mother Nature produce so many cottonwood seeds if only a very, very few of them are going to grow to adulthood? This overproduction causes a struggle for existence. Okay? That there are so many offspring trying to be produced, not all of them are going to make it, and thus there's a struggle. Variation. Here we see a variation in the same species of mollusk. These snails have different colored shells. Apparently, the kind of shell color makes no difference in their survival as long as they've got a shell for protection. Overproduction. Here we have hundreds of frog eggs. If all of those grow to be adults, we're going to have frogs as far as the eye can see. Those three things together cause natural selection to occur. The struggle to survive favors those with the best variation. Am I faster than my prey? Can I blend in and not get caught? Right? Do I have the proper mouthpieces parts so that I can find food? All of them. Here's a pretty good example of the struggle for existence. These 200 frog eggs will not produce 200 adult frogs. Okay? In fact, if those 200 frog eggs produce more than 2 adult frogs, the population will go up. 2 frogs will have made 3 or more frogs. Okay? What happens to them in between? These eggs get eaten, some of them dry out, the pollywogs get eaten by birds. Okay? People, variation, we're not all the same. Overproduction, there's not enough for everyone, okay? And we're not all going to make it. Okay? If I've got a variation that lets me have an advantage, I've got a shot at it. Okay? Natural selection, variation, overproduction, and struggle to survive. Thank you so much. Be well.